Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome back to the channel for the second installment of my video pitting the solo mode in against me in a meeting engagement. As discussed in the previous video, I would like to see how this pans out, because if the solo mode performs well in this kind of scenario, then it opens a whole range of possibilities for building your own, and I think that's really, really great. Now, just to recap from where I left off, because things have been going quite interestingly well so far, I, as the British, was generally trying to hold a defensible position with my units while letting my mortar do quite a bit of the legwork, except where German units strayed into gun range. I was very, very lucky. My leader team down there was able to eliminate the German MG42 team, which I must admit was a pretty painful loss for them. They will certainly be missing that heavy firepower and that support capability. However, German reinforcements have been arriving. They received a Panzerschreck unit, which is not much good to them in this scenario, but there is another fire group moving up to support their officer. They have their original fire group in good cover, contesting the middle part of the battlefield. And they've also been a great deal more mobile than I have. So the AI has actually begun flanking me with two units. There's the Zundup motorbike there, and their recon group is also in very good defensive terrain over there. Now that presents a major threat, because neither unit has very far to go before my 2-inch mortar will find itself exposed out in the open, and I really do not want that to happen. I really do think, despite its hit and miss tendencies, that that is probably my most potent unit on the board, so I must look after it. The only thing that has occurred to me is that while on the previous turn I did maneuver the Zundup into what is a pretty good firing position, I have actually made it vulnerable, because it could either be fired on or assaulted by my fire team over there. And part of the trouble was I forgot to double check my cards while I was making the AI's move, because I not only have a second chance, I also have a burst into action card, which is very good for me. However, it's not a certainty that anything I try to pull off will succeed, so we'll see what happens. Now, thanks to the tactical advantages, it's the beginning of the orders phase of turn 3. I'm up to 3 orders tokens. I think, given the threat posed by the Zundup, I would be crazy not to give my first activation to the fire group over there. My second one, just in case something goes badly wrong, my second one, I think, must go to the mortars. There's not a huge amount of choice over that. And for my third one, I just hope that nothing bad happens to my leader team, because I want them to carry on firing at Oberleutnant Hauser, who's found himself a comfortable little niche in the hedgerow over there. If we can knock him off, that would severely damage the German formation, because not only would it deprive them of some of their orders capabilities, it would also bring me a step closer to breaking the formation. Let's see how that goes. So the Germans have 1 order token available. None of their units are suppressed, so they're all eligible. And really, the order token should go to the Zundup, ideally, because it's in the best position to potentially damage an enemy. However, there is a warning in the AI's logic tree, which I will remind us of here. The Zundup is a vulnerable unit, and although the German player, in theory, the AI doesn't know what cards I have in my hand, there is the potential that the Zundup could be destroyed or assaulted that turn, and would not get a chance to act. And the reason I waved that at you is to show you the reminder that when you're assigning a numbered order token, to a unit which might get destroyed before it can be activated, basically don't do it because that's a wasted order. So reluctantly, the AI will not assign this to the Zundap. However, it could potentially benefit from any reactions. I think, given the available firepower that the Germans have, the best formation to give this activation token to would be Oberleutnant Hauser again. And my reason for saying that is that he is within range of my leader team and he can bring pretty good amount of firepower onto it, as good as that unit over there. So he really is their best bet. And because he's number one, he'll get to act before my team does. So it's a good choice. Now, the Germans also get their obligatory action card. Resupply. Okay. The AI recovers up to 3 spent gear markers. Well, they haven't actually spent any of their grenades yet. I'm well aware that they have grenades. I've been trying to avoid letting them get close enough. Now, it says if the AI has no gear markers, it gets a +1 die roll bonus. If I was unkind, I would discard the card, but I think the AI deserves to keep the dice roll bonus, even though they've not had a chance to break through their supply of grenades yet. So I will add that to their available action cards. And so we are now ready to proceed with the main body of the turn. I'm going to begin by activating my fire team. But before I do, as they always will, the Germans will react. Oh, that is exactly what they wanted. My fire team is going to be subjected to suppressive fire from the Zundap. So it's going to get a +2 bonus to that. Ooh, they rolled a 5, so they got a total of 15 on that. Ouch. Have I got anything? Ah, I forgot to do that. Never mind, I'll save it for next turn. No, actually, do you know what? I will play my second chance, because that was a pretty nasty roll, and I hope I can get something lower. Oh no, they got a 6 this time. That's even worse. Okay. So it's doubled, so I get 2 suppression markers on my unit before they've even had a chance to go. That's bad. That completely unhinges my plans. Luckily for me, because the difficulty setting is not hard, the Germans don't get the additional order token, thank goodness. So the Zundap is activated, but it was well worth it because they have thoroughly suppressed my unit. I can't move. I've got too many suppression tokens, so I have to just sit there. And with all that foliage in the way, there's no way I can even harm them. That is such a pity. I was hoping to throw a desperate assault to destroy that Zundap, but it's not happening, so I effectively forfeit that turn. The only good bit of news for me is having activated to suppress my unit. The Zundap at least has, well, it's not going anywhere this turn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my mortars into play. I want to see if I can make a mess of these guys. So I'm going to place my template there. I could have placed it there, but I don't want to run the risk of drift causing some friendly fire. So let's see how we do. Oh, we got a 1. That's not good. Wish I'd saved my reroll card now. So the mortars do their best, but the rounds are off. And I forgot to react for the Germans. Let's just do that now. Okay, it doesn't make a huge difference. They get an order token, which they will give to The most logical unit to give the next order unit to is that one, because they can also bring fire to bear. Also, another mistake I made, because that's number 2, I should have let the Oberleutnant take his shot. So I'll just draw the German action card. Play after activating an AI unit. I think the Pervitin is not actually as useful as any of the action cards they have in their hand, so I'm just going to discard that one. We're going to go straight, I'm sorry for messing up the turn order a bit, everyone. We're going to go straight for Hauser taking his shot. So he has a firepower of 2. He rolls a 6. Goodness, the Germans are on form today. And he has inflicted a loss on my team. Ouch. So with my mortars having fired ineffectively, the German fire group is now going to take their turn, and they're going to see if they can finish off my leader group over there. So they're firing too. Now they get a 2. Thank goodness that's insufficient to do me any damage. That is a relief. And so now it's back to me with my poor, sadly depleted group over there. Not sure what I can do, really. They're not a very powerful unit anymore. They have no chance of hurting Hauser from where they are. They may just about be able to do something to that group, but the Germans will react again. And they get a firing action. Now, they're a bit stuck on that because that unit cannot see anyone. That unit can see my suppressed unit, but they get a -4 to their dice roll and they only generate 1 firepower. So no, there's no point taking the shot. None of the German units that are able to shoot are capable of doing me any damage there. So they'll ignore that one, and they will simply draw another action card. Ooh, that is a nasty bit of equipment. I wonder whether to keep it, because none of the German infantry units are very close to mine at the moment, but it could actually be quite handy. Now, I didn't use the resupplies bonus to the dice roll, but then in the previous attempts where the Germans have had a shot since getting this card, it's been a no-go anyway. So I think what I might do is I might... Actually, no. That's quite a useful bonus. A slightly more difficult one for the Germans to use is the assault bonus, because none of their units want to get too close or are too close at the moment. So I think I'll keep the grenades for them and discard the assault. Okay. So now I finally get my shot. Let's see if we do well. I hope we do. And I've rolled a 1. No, the Germans have probably not even noticed that I've fired at them. So, what to do now? I don't really want to move any of my units. I'm keeping the Bren where it is in case any of those German units move and then they can take an opportunity fire shot. So I'm going to leave them where they are. There doesn't seem to be any point moving Lieutenant Henry at the moment. He seems okay where he is. The Germans. The Germans in the supply phase are going to pile on the pressure by bringing their recon group up here. Now the question is, it's a disadvantaged shot, but they're not going to conceal themselves because that still allows them to take a bad shot, but a shot nonetheless against my mortars on a future turn. And of course, their other fire group is just going to bring itself in there. Now, again, it's a bit chancy stacking units together, but in this case, I feel it gives them the best possible cover while allowing them to add the weight of their firepower, which is actually beginning to break us a little bit. So I think the Germans will hold that position and just group up. The Panzerfaust unit, which is sort of off the top of the map there, is going to remain where it is because there's no real point bringing it forward. It just add to the German body count if it comes within my sights. Maybe. My shooting has been a bit suboptimal this turn. So that is that. So I'll gather in the orders tokens. And looking at my hand, I think I still like all these cards, so I'm going to hang on to them. I'm going to try not to forget that one this turn, because that could have been useful. And I'll just draw another one. Ah, yes, I could probably do with one of those. And it is now the beginning of turn 4. So we're exactly midway through the game. Oh yes, and I'll take one suppressed token off my poor fire team over there. Okay, orders. This is going to be a little trickier now. I cannot risk the possibility of the Germans zooming round and attempting to wipe out my mortars, so they are going to get the first order, and it'll be to get themselves into some sort of cover temporarily. The second order will be to my poor, sadly reduced leader team. And my third order, I think, is going to have to... Oh, I don't know if this is worth it or not. I think I'll give the third order to the lieutenant. I might think of pulling him back here to try and support my flank against the pressure the Germans are putting on it, because it's starting to look a bit desperate down there. The Germans, for their part, not unnaturally, are going to put their first order token on the Zundap because they have splendid opportunities with that thing. And it would be, and because of the way I've distributed my orders, it's not really so much at risk of destruction this turn. I mean, yes, I could order my mortars to stand their ground, but we're talking about a 1 in 3 chance of just being on target. And as the AI, I would have said those odds were pretty good in its favour. So it is going to make the most of that powerful asset. So the Germans will draw an action card, as is their right. Ooh, that is quite a play. At the end of the orders phase, during this turn, all your infantry units gain the special ability Assault. Oh gosh, they've decided they're going to be fierce this turn. Okay. I'm actually not so worried about that. I probably should be, but I'm not. Okay. It's weird though that may sound. Um, because I think I have more worrying things to occupy me. I might regret that. We shall see. But as for me, I think I will just remember to play my tactician card so I get another order. No, I forgot it again. It's supposed to be played at the start of the orders phase. No, 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 no. Ah, darn it. No, my bad. I forgot. There we go. So, straight into play, I suppose. Now, as I activate this, the Germans will react. Ah, I'm going to be subject to suppressive fire. So the only one, I mean, the Zundap could try and suppress me, but it wants to go for destruction. So despite the disadvantage of the range, the recon group is going to attempt a suppression shot. It's a bit of a long shot. They might not make it, but it's worth the attempt. So they're going to roll, and they get a 1. Okay. Thankfully, that wasn't too bad. And they draw an action card. A firing bonus. Out of... Ah, I would have played that as a matter of course, but as I forgot to, I'll keep it as a bonus for the next time the Germans roll a dice. So they've got a firing bonus this time. I think overall this is less valuable than the general dice roll bonuses, so I am going to let that one go in favour of the Germans keeping their dice bonuses. So far, the only consolation I have is that the recon group has done its thing. Without bothering to change their setup, the recon group is going to go crashing into the hedgerow. Probably where I should have placed them in the beginning, come to think of it. And now the Germans have a bit of a choice. The Zundap could either roar off after them, or it could target my fire team over there. I think as my mortars have been effectively neutralized for the turn, and the fire team is a much closer target, the Germans are going to just go for it. So what they're going to do to avoid any deductions to their firepower for moving, they're going to hold position and they're just going to shoot at me. So they have a firepower of +4. They can add 1 to their dice roll. They got a total of 8 altogether, and it's reduced by 1, 2, 3. So 5 altogether, which means they have damaged me, unfortunately. So more losses. That's not good. I keep thinking I'll hang on to my no card to stop the German grenade card, but to be honest with you, it's starting to look like I won't have much of a force left by the time the Germans get close enough to use grenades. I'm going to have to do something about this. But what? All right. I'm going to activate my leader team and hope nothing horrible happens to us. The German reaction is they're going to open fire. So it might as well be the good Hauser who does the shooting. And he's going to shoot with a +1 bonus, which I really don't like. Oh no, he's rolled a 6. He has just wiped out my leader team before they even had a chance to get a shot off. So I've suffered my first unit casualty and my order token goes away. Ah! Thankfully, the Germans don't get that order token bonus because of the difficulty setting. Remind me never to pick on the AI when it's set to hard. This is a bit of a nightmare. Never mind. I will activate my lieutenant next. Now I wonder what to do with him. I've got two choices. I think I will be using the burst into action card with him. But do I head one up over there to take all these fellows on? Or shall I angle downwards to try and take those fellows on? It's a very difficult question. And I have to be aware that there's not actually that much he can do by way of a clear shot here. So I think what I might do, well, I'll see how the Germans react to him before I make my mind up. Ooh, suppressive fire. Okay, he might not be going anywhere at this rate. So I think the best unit to have a go at him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Both of them have a reasonably clear sight of him. I'll roll off to see which of those two react because they have an equal claim. So it'll be these fellows over here. And their suppressive fire comes to a total of 5, which fails. That's good news for me. Unfortunately, the Germans get to place another order token. And they will give it to the only useful unit they have left that hasn't activated yet. I am going to have the lieutenant sidestep through the clear and back into the hedgerow. And he will then open fire on Lieutenant Hauser. So that's the burst into action card that allows me to do that. And I rolled a 1. The dice are really not my friend this time. So Oberleutnant Hauser is not bothered. And the German fire group up here does not have such a good view of me anymore, but is feeling a bit more confident about advancing into the tree line. The only thing is they'll have to risk a shot, enduring a shot from my Bren gunners who have opportunity fire. So do they want to do it, or do they want to shoot my Bren gunners at a disadvantage? I think the risk, given the range, is fairly minimal, so they're going to do it. So they make their first move. My Bren gunners react. And they roll a mere 2. The Germans really had nothing to worry about. So 1, 2, 3. They're feeling fairly confident, so they're going to get close to my suppressed unit. Also, I must remember the next turn when they're able to do so. They're now in range to throw these nasty grenades, and that is going to be a pain. So that brings the orders phase to an end. I have no units available Oh, actually, that team can move. I think I'm going to withdraw them into the hedgerow because the pressure that's being put on my flank is simply too great at the moment. All of the German units have gone except the aforementioned Panzerschreck, which is off map. So they're going to stay where they are. Again, there's no benefit to them moving. And I'll just gather in the order tokens. So as for the rest of the supply phase, I do at least lose my last suppressed marker, so these fellows can at least operate at something closer to full efficiency. And luckily for me, the Germans never did get a chance at close assault this turn, so the fury of the Führer thankfully goes away. My hand of cards. It's getting to the stage now where its dynamic is rapidly losing its value. Although that said, I think it's worth hanging on to. Must remember to play that. Definitely do something with that. Ah, Battle Rage. That could be useful. So, I am going to go for... Now that it's the orders phase, and I'm actually going to remember... Oh, sorry, let me move the turn counter. It is now the beginning of turn 5. So it's 3 turns to go. I will remember to play Tactician this time. So I've got enough order tokens for everybody this turn. Just clear up all these activation tokens from last turn. The Germans, of course, get their action card. Weak point. Okay, effectively that's another dice roll bonus. So I am going to issue orders to... I'm going to start with my mortars now that they're safely in cover, because I think we desperately need a chance to take some shots. And then in order of who's most likely to be engaged next. I hope I've made some good decisions there. The Germans are going to give their first order to... It's a bit of a choice. They have good options with this fire group here to finish me off, although I am in a strong position in the hedgerow there. Alternatively, they could just have the good Oberleutnant Hauser just pepper them with fire. He can see them in the hope of just finishing them off. So the question is, how brave are the Germans feeling? I'm going to roll off for it because I'm not too sure about this one. Now that everyone's in heavy cover, this time round the Zundap is very slightly less useful. Oh yes, and of course the Germans do have their grenades, so they could try that. So yes, the first German order should go to that fire group. So I'm going to kick off with my mortars. But what are the Germans going to do? Oh, okay. They're going to convene a command and control meeting. That's actually quite handy for me. So their first action card is Surprise. Not actually that useful as there's no buildings here, and they've already got a +1 dice roll bonus card, so they'll let that one go. But they are permitted to draw a second command, action card, and that's an assault bonus. Now this time, given the proximity of that unit, an assault bonus might actually be a good thing to have. So they will... The Zundap has a lot of clear terrain ahead of it at the moment, so it probably doesn't need that. So the Germans will let Don't Stop go and keep the assault bonus. The situation has obviously changed somewhat. But thankfully for me, that's all that happened. So what I'm going to do is tell my mortars to range in on precisely... Oh, what should we do? I want to go for maximum damage. I'll take a chance and range in on that point and hope that it drifts in the right direction or is on target. 2. Oh no. 1, 2. Okay, well the mortars felled quite a few trees but didn't do anything beyond that. That's very unfortunate. So the Germans now activate. They are within range to throw those awful grenades of theirs. But I am not going to tolerate that. So that card goes away. And the Germans will have to take it as a normal firing action instead. I might have actually bought them another turn of life. We'll see. So combat factor of 2. -3 to the die. Oh yes, they're shooting through the woods. So -2 to the dice roll. And my defense is 7. We have a good chance of surviving this. And the Germans rolled a 2. Finally, they're getting small numbers. So it's over to me. I'm going to activate my depleted fire team. The German reaction is an assault. Okay. Let's see now. 1, 2, 3. The Germans can assault me with their recon team, but oh no, it doesn't have an assault capability. Okay. No, there's no German unit capable of making an assault. However, let me just have a look. Instead of an assault, the Zundap is going to make an attempt at a firing action to preemptively shoot me up before I can do anything. But they'll have to roll fairly high because it's a -3 penalty to the dice roll because of the trees, and we're in cover. So they got a total of... oh no, they rolled a 3, so their total is 4. Okay, good try, but their fire was ineffective. Oh, they would have cashed in that card as well, but it would have still been ineffective. So they've tried that. I am going to risk an assault, and I'm going to use Battle Rage. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, straight at the unit that was trying to go for us. This could be the worst mistake of my game, but you know, I quite fancied one of these. The Germans aren't going to take it lying down. They're going to get a +1 bonus versus my +2. So let's see what happens. Oh no, I rolled a double 1. That's terrible. Okay, that was a serious miscalculation on my part. Their blood up, the Canadians threw in a frantic and desperate assault, which unfortunately the Germans dispatched very swiftly and competently. So I have now lost my second unit. And the very bad news for me is if I lose one more unit this game, that is sufficient to break my formation. So I need to be very, very careful and look after that third red square. Okay, so my next available person is the good lieutenant. Well, there's not a lot he can do, really. I mean, I could move him to the edge to try and hold that bit, but he's not going to do very much of use beyond that. Don't know what else I can do with him really, and I might as well try and plug the gap somewhat. Don't really want to let the Germans freely wander into this good defensive terrain here. So I'll draw the German reaction. Ooh, and he gets suppressive fire. Let's see. Well, Hauser can see him and is going to attempt to suppress him. And he rolls a 6. This is crazy. So the poor old lieutenant is suppressed. But that's not so bad. I was only going to move him the one space anyway. But that's really not good. And unfortunately for me, the Germans also get to draw an action card. And they have drawn all terrain. Oh, that's not good. Oh dear. Yes, and Hauser, of course, gets an activation marker for having pinned down his opposite number. Right, my final chance to achieve anything useful. I just need to take a quick peek. I think I don't have a clear line of sight to Hauser because of those trees, but I think I can see them. So the Bren, unless the Germans do something horrible to me, is going to open fire. And the German reaction is to hold another command meeting and draw 2 action cards. Again, fine with me. Ooh, I don't like the thought of them having a second chance, but they've got it. And another assault bonus. I can see where this is heading. Right, so my Bren is going to attempt to take out, or at least weaken that fire group over there. We make our roll and we get a 5, which is enough to knock a few spots off them. Finally, a bit of luck. Okay, so that's it for the action phases. Time for the supply phase. Given that my lieutenant is now suppressed, and they clearly have an advantage in terms of the casualties inflicted, the Germans are going to press their recon group. Or are they? Do they need to risk them at this stage and things? Yes, they're going to go for it. They sense they have an advantage. If I were the AI player, I would advance, but may as well get it up close. They do risk the loss of a unit, but they can afford to lose another 2 units before they get very worried. Whereas for me, the very next unit I lose ends the game in a defeat for me. That unit is going to make a bit of a dash to try and support these guys, but the question is which way to go. They could, of course, remain where they are and exchange fire with the Bren gun. The lieutenant in his current location has ducked out of their sight. I think, again, I might roll for this one. No, the Germans are going to move. In their weakened state, it's a bit iffy, them trying to thread their way through the lighter cover to get at my Brens. So as my Brens have gone, and also it's the supply phase, they're going to make a dash for that nice bit of cover over there, which is also very conveniently just out of decent firing range. So they're making good use of that little scrap of terrain. Hauser, of course, will stay where he is because he's already gone. And the poor Panzerfaust unit, which is probably Panzerschreck unit, which is probably feeling a bit left out, is still out of sight off the top of the map. So, other bits of the supply phase. I'm glad to say the lieutenant is no longer suppressed. I'll gather in the activation markers and the order tokens. Oh yeah, there's the German one. And I desperately need to refill my hand. Now, I have 3 order tokens and I only have 3 units left, so I may as well discard dynamic because having that card serves no purpose anymore. Advance may be useful. Grouped shots. I'll have to bring my guys closer together, but that could be handy. If the Germans are planning on pressing me, fallback could be very useful. And ready. That too is potentially very useful. We may not be out of things just yet. Oh, sorry, beg pardon. I meant to stop the recon group there because, of course, the Germans have grenades and they know how to use them. So it's now the start of turn 6 and the beginning of the orders phase. I think, given the pressure that's building up, it really should be... Shall I chance it? I wonder. Yes, I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to tell my mortars to take a shot at that bunch of Germans in the woods and hope that that's a good call. The second order, completely understandably, will be for the good lieutenant. And the third, again, will be for the Bren gunners. The Germans are going to give their first order to the recon. Actually, there's a risk they might be destroyed, so that's a tricky one. They're going to give their first order to the fire group because they're close enough to chuck a grenade, and unlike the recon group, they're not at risk of being wiped out in the initial turn. So that's what they're going to do. The Germans also will get their order card. Hint. Play during the movement... Oh, sorry, a mine. Oh, no. One of my infantry units. Drat. Okay. That might win the game for the Germans if I'm unlucky. So, any cards I want to play as a preliminary? No, not at this stage. So my mortars are going to try for the shot of their lives. And the German reaction is to summon reinforcements. Oh no. Really? I think you fellows are doing perfectly well without, thank you very much. So here's the dreaded reinforcements bag. What have we got? Another MG42 team. Okay, that is not good. So they appear up at the top of the map. I won't shake the camera around, so I'll just show you where they're going to be coming. I could actually probably zoom in at this stage, given that there's a few less units on the map and we're taking up a smaller footprint, help you all see a bit more clearly. So the Germans have received reinforcements and they get to assign another order token, which they will assign to the Zundap. It's a vulnerable unit, but it's in a much safer place than the recon group. And also, if the German plan goes well, they may well have won the game by the time the Zundap gets activated. So, oh yes, I also had to choose a card which would be supplanted by this one. I think given that they've got other ways of disposing of me, the Germans will get rid of the assault bonus, because that's a far more satisfying way of killing me off, I think. So they've done that. I finally get my mortar shot. I'm going to take a chance on this. Oh, and we roll a 6. For once, we are bang on target. So, +2. So we roll a 3 for a 5 altogether. That's just enough to match that group and inflict some losses on them. That's actually pretty useful. Well done, those mortars. So some highly unamused Germans are now going to throw some grenades at my lieutenant. So it's a base attack strength of 2. They still need to roll a 6 to get him, but it's a bit of a safe option for them at the moment. No, they did not get the lieutenant. He's still safe. What I'm hoping is they might become a bit more reticent about approaching now that they've had some holes knocked in them. As for me, I'm going to activate the lieutenant. And what am I going to do with him? I know. I will wait and see how the Germans react. 3 AIs take a movement action towards the nearest objective following the priorities listed in reaction activation movement. Ooh, okay. Right. They are on the move. Of course, the thing is, I'm not actually going to employ all of those because moving the recon group closer to the lieutenant puts them at needless risk. I will move the Zundap, though, because the beauty of that special card is that the Zundap gets to keep its order token. So it's going to go 1, 2... Actually, no, 1... I know, across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So turning that way, on its turn, it'll be in a position to threaten those 2 units there. So that is bad news for me. The third group that will move is that one. It's going to try and get under cover and reinforce the attack on the lieutenant. The question is, do the Germans want to risk it with my Bren gun possibly on opportunity fire? I think given the distance they do, so they're going to chance it. I'll sacrifice that to give them their opportunity fire. Oh, and I got a 6. So that's a total of 6, and we wipe them out. Excellent. The bad news for me is the danger level goes up 1, but that was very respectable. So we're halfway to breaking the German formation. That's not too bad. So that's the German reaction to what my lieutenant was going to do. Now I'm tempted to take a huge risk because that recon group doesn't have a... oh wait, no, hang on. Before I do that, the Germans may want to reverse my roll. And they do. It's merely a 2 now. No, stop the celebrating, everybody. That amazing shot turned out to be not as good as we thought. So the intact German unit enters the woods. And we'll stop there because it doesn't want to be too close to the... Oh, actually, no, it doesn't make too much of a difference. We'll tuck them in behind them. Sorry, I need to keep a better eye on the cards in the German action card inventory because I keep spotting things a second or two too late. So I'm not doing as well as I thought I was, but never mind. So what's the lieutenant going to do? There's a mine out there, and I don't like the thought of this, but I'm really tempted to throw him at their recon group and make an assault of it. Because, I mean, I don't have that much to lose. But maybe it might be better just to hold position and shoot at them. Yes, I think I'll do that. I'm in a strong position. There's no need for me to move. So we will do that. And the target is the recon group. And I rolled a 6. Brilliant. That made up for the earlier problem. So that is just enough to wipe out the German recon group. Okay. They stop 1, I gain 1. That's really good. Back where we started, but hey. I also want to play Be Ready on my Bren Gunners to take away that activated order token. However, I don't know whether to move them or not. Also, I realise I've just made a mistake. I should have let the Zundup have its turn. Whoops. Okay, the Zundup will take its turn now. And it's going to target the more vulnerable unit in its sights, which is the 2-inch mortar. So I'm going to hold my breath and pray. It rolled a 2, which means despite the firepower it has at its disposal, it hasn't harmed my mortars. That is a huge relief. I think my lieutenant is going to have to try and do something about that ugly thing next turn. But that is the end of it. So we've got to the supply phase. I'm not going to move anybody, because I know if I shift the Brens, I run the risk of triggering a German mine. And if I lose the game at this point, I'll be a very unhappy bunny. And at the moment, they're sort of okay where they are. So yes, no movement during the supply phase from me. Those 3 German units have activated, and Oberleutnant Hauser doesn't really need to move because he can still draw bead on Henry down there. The only German unit which will move is the newly arrived, I'll just shift the camera up, the newly arrived MG42 unit, which is going to try and get across the road and join Hauser. And aside from that, I think nothing else to be done except gather the tokens in. and also top up my hand because I'm down a card. So I think I will keep all of these because they're still fairly useful at the moment. Definitely the fallback. Oh, and I've got sneaky shot, but I don't... Ah, okay, well, I don't have a concealed unit, but never mind. I'll discard that in the next turn. So the next turn will be the final turn of the game. We've both suffered equal casualties, but the Germans can afford to take one more loss than I can, so it's going to be tight. I do want to make some closing observations and comments at the end of the game on how well I think the solo system performs in a meeting engagement, and what my impressions of this game were because of its experimental nature. Or sorry, this scenario's experimental nature, I should say. So I'm going to leave it there for now. And as always, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to you all for carrying on with me. It's been really good having you along for the ride. As always, a huge hello to my veterans